It's like having the Super Bowl, the World Series, all at the beginning of the season. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and for the 7th time, I am honored to welcome you all to the season opener, Season 7 Hersheys Cup Series. This is the 7th annual running of the Hersheys Cup Series Great American Race, Daytona 500. This is our big extravaganza, and it's our first race of the season. Everybody wants to win this race. It's one of the 4 crown jewel races that we have on the schedule, and these drivers here today would love to get the season started off right with a trip to victory lane. Why? Well, I'll give you 2 reasons. Number 1, it's the Daytona 500. You put your name on a list of elite drivers that have been able to conquer this racetrack at one of the biggest events of the year. And number 2, we've condensed down our season schedule to, I think it's now only 15, I think, regular season races. So that means that there's going to really be a big opportunity for drivers with wins this year during the regular season to pretty much lock themselves up a spot in the playoffs, considering they stay in the top 30 in the point standings. So a win here today at Daytona could very well mean you're going to be heading to the playoffs and competing for the championship at the end of the regular season. So a lot on the line here for these drivers, and all of them want to try and find victory lane. A lot of seasoned veterans in this field. We got a few rookies thrown in there as well. A lot of varying experience, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here during the course of these 50 laps. J Bryant was the fastest during pole day qualifying. Levi McIntire was second fastest, and both drivers managed to survive their respective Can-Am duels, so they will line up on the front row, teammates for Young Motorsports. Can anybody stop these blue ovals? They have been really fast so far this week, but the Chevys have shown speed too. C Dollerton took the checkered flag in Can-Am duel number 1. As a consequence, he lines up on the inside of row 2. Alongside of him, Jordan Anderson, who was a rookie last year, now back for a second full-time season. He took the checkers in Can-Am duel number 2, and he will start this race in 4th. So we're starting to see the Fords were strong. Now the Chevys are starting to come to town. We're going to have to see which manufacturer rises to the top when it comes checkered flag time here at Daytona International Speedway. But we are guaranteed that we will have no back-to-back Hersheys Cup Series champion with Brooke Allen down the Pizza X Series. We still got some champions in here, though, that are former champions of the series, like K Mathews, C Dodd, Trent Dunham. So we could be looking maybe at somebody trying to be a back-to-back champion, but there's a lot of drivers that want to get the championship for the first time in their career here in the Hersheys Cup Series as well. Without further ado, let's go down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports as we get ready to go racing at Daytona.
Drivers, start your engines!
And as the command is given, and these 42 cars will roll off the grid, you can look down in the description below for your official starting lineup for today's Daytona 500. Now obviously, with this being our 7th annual running, we've been here previously 6 times. 5 of our 6 previous Daytona 500 winners are in this field here today. The only one that's not is the driver that took the very first checkered flag in the Hersheys Cup Series back in Season 1, Ryan Acosta. But the other 5 defending Daytona 500 winners are in this field. Season 2 was K Mathews, Season 3 Sean Gallighan, Season 4 Anthony McCrury, Season 5 Chris Dodd, and Season 6, the defending winner of this event, Dallas McIntosh. Kind of ironic if you look there that out of those 5 that we mentioned, 3 of them are previous champions of the Hersheys Cup Series, Mathews, McCrury, and Dodd. So am I saying that if you win the Daytona 500, you've got a good chance of winning a Hersheys Cup Series championship? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying look at the statistics and come up with your own conclusion. Of course, we've also got some former champions in this field as well. Besides those 3, Trent Dunham, the Season 5 champion. Only 2 champions we don't have in this field. Season 4 champ Matt Haas, he's down in the Truck Series. And of course the defending champion, Brooke Allen, who we saw yesterday in the Pizza Hut X Series race. Just want to apologize ahead of time for the low frames you're going to get for this race. It's Daytona. I've never been able to get good frames at Super Speedway like this. I don't know how to fix it, so just going to have to deal with it. But here we go. Season 7 of the Hersheys Cup Series is green at Daytona. First time this season I get to say, let's roll. J Bryant was there ready for that green flag, but now he moves up to get the draft from his teammate Levi McIntyre. Left the door open, and here come the Chevys, Dollerton, Llamas, and Cittadino. Daniel Guilbert with them as well. The Chevrolets have the other manufacturers outnumbered greatly in this race and in this entire season. There's only 6 Fords, 3 Toyotas, and 1 Nissan Maxima. That being driven, of course, by Brandon Gonzales. Top 4 have kind of split away as they were 3 wide further back there. I didn't like the way Anthony McCrury was right on the left rear quarter panel of J Bryant, but they settle it out. And Florida native Cody Llamas will lead the first lap here today in the Daytona 500. Right now, Chevy, then Levi McIntyre's Ford, and then the Chevy of Chris Dollerton. McIntyre now with J Cittadino. They're going to work by Daniel Guilbert, move to 2nd and 3rd. They're 3 wide further back in the pack, but up front, they're kind of single file and rather scattered at the moment. The battle is on side by side for 2nd between Cittadino and McIntyre. Daniel Guilbert entering up into this group, and I think that's, 7th place that they were 3 wide back there? It was J Arndt, Chris Dodd, and Holly Davis. As McIntyre might have brushed the wall there out of turn 4 just the least little bit. Keeps it together though, and we're still green flag racing. Now in both of our previous races this weekend, both the Coors Light Truck Series and Pizza Hut X Series, we had early cautions, 2 in the Truck Series and 1 in the Pizza Hut X Series. That Pizza Hut X Series wreck was kind of an avoidable wreck. They went 4 wide down into turn 3. A car was down the apron, never lifted, and came up into traffic, causing a big wreck. I think it was on the first lap of the race. We made it past lap 2. We're about to complete lap 3 without a caution, at least here in the Hersheys Cup Series race. 50 laps in total, and the fuel window for these drivers is somewhere between 17 to 19 laps. So these drivers will have to make at least 1 pit stop, and if we go green all the way to the checkers, they'll have to make 2 green flag pit stops. And even then, they're going to be really close on fuel. If you think about it, let's say 17 is the maximum they can go, but they can go 19. If they could only go a maximum of 17 laps, then with 2 pit stops, that would bring them to about lap 51. And a lot of these drivers that will be out in front showing the way will be using up a lot more fuel than the drivers that are back in the draft, being able to half throttle and save a little bit. Well, those 5 or 6 that were out in front by themselves, now they've been reeled in by this group of Anthony McCrury, D Shears, K Mathews, J Arndt, Chris Dodd, Brandon Gonzales, and Zachary Fitzwater. And if they continue to race side by side like they are here in this group, that's going to allow all those other stragglers back there to be able to catch up as well. Scott Roush, Trent Dunham, Tim Walsh back there. Cittadino and McIntyre rekindle their battle for second. Cittadino low, McIntyre high. Guilbert looks like he's going to stay on the top side, so that'll offer a little bit of draft to the 99 to probably hold on to that second position. But it's all going on behind Cody Llamas, the defending Pizza Hut X Series champion. Oh, Daniel Guilbert up into the wall. Gets it back down, but that was close. He almost came down and wrecked Chris Dollerton. Good thing that Chris had his wits about him and allowed the 4 car to come back down off the wall. Just like at any other track, the safer barrier here at Daytona, you go up and scrape it. It's almost like your car and the wall are magnets, and it just sucks you in. It's very hard to be able to get your car off of that wall, and as a consequence, you lose not only positions, but a lot of momentum as well. Daytona, Talladega, the super speedways, it's all about momentum, controlling the draft, using the slipstream, being able to get runs. And if you do not have good momentum, you are going to lose a lot of track position and a lot of positions on the grid as well. So that's why you saw Guilbert jerk the car to the left as hard as he could to get off that wall, so that way he didn't lose a lot of momentum. And like I said, we came down right in front of the 83 of Chris Dollerton. Cody Llamas and D Shears know each other very well. Both of them competed against each other in the season finale last year at Auto Club with the Pizza Hut X Series Championship on the line. Llamas, of course, eventually winning the championship, but Dougie Shears right behind him. Now the two of them find themselves one season later battling for a Daytona 500 victory. Fitzwater there in the 59. No surprise to see him running up here towards the front. The Fitzwater Australia Racing Chevrolets have been really fast so far this weekend. Both J Gardner and Jordan Anderson put up a good accounting for themselves in their Can-Am duels. Of course, Anderson winning his in Duel 2. They're going to go double wide for third place. Now, as all this is going on here, the field has gotten themselves rather spread out. Got this second pack here, caboosed by Scott Roush. Then you've got Srigley, Dunham, Poteet. There's Watson, who won the Summer Daytona race here last year. Daniel Voyles right in front of him, three-time winner last year. Then you got a group here of about maybe 9-10 cars. There's last year's winner, Dallas McIntosh, his Dodge. There's J Bryant, the pole sitter. He's faded back. Shane Lake there. Now that's 36th place, I believe. We'll see where Shane crosses the line this time. And he crosses in still 36th. Then you got Sandfer there in 37th, trying to hold on to the tail end of the lead lap. And then a couple of Chevys back here in 38th and 39th. Baskinger, Gallighan. Jessica Shelton's lost the draft. She's back in 40th. And then there's 41st and 42nd, Cole Baker and K Shearer. These drivers back here, they are hoping and praying for a caution. And remember as well, with those stragglers this early on in this race, remember to yesterday's Pizza Hut X Series race, where it really came down to the leaders maneuvering their way through traffic, and it wasn't damaged race cars. It was drivers that were up to speed on the tail end of the lead lap that just hadn't had the benefit of being able to stay in the draft. So with that being said, these drivers up here might want to get themselves ready to have to deal with traffic at some point or another, and hopefully they were watching what happened in the Pizza Hut X Series race on how to get around traffic. I mean, I don't think there was any leader particularly that really had an easy time getting around traffic in yesterday's race. Phil Parker had problems. Alexander Rowe had problems. And here's a challenge for the lead. Dougie Shears got a nice run there on the tri-oval. Tried to get up to the high side and alongside the right rear quarter panel. Cody Llamas couldn't quite do it as they're 3 wide, 2 rows deep behind him for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Our Clash winner, Dylan Young, is now up in this lead group. I mentioned the fact that the Fords have been really strong here this week. Dylan Young winning the Clash. His teammates Bryant and McIntyre sitting on the front row for this Daytona 500. And another Ford up there as well. You see him right there in the middle. The runner-up finisher in the Clash, Keith Batson. Keith Batson, a former Clash winner as well, so he knows how to run here at Daytona. I'm looking back there to try and see if there's opportunities for teammates to work together. And right now I see Levi McIntyre and Dylan Young in this lead group. And aside from that, I don't see any other drivers that have their teammates with them. They are still 3 wide for 3rd place. Mathews, Gonzales, and McIntyre. All 3 lines apparently being able to work here at Daytona, and neither one really giving an edge. Now it looks like there might be more cars lined up on the inside line, so Mathews might be able to clear for 3rd place by the time they get down to turn 1. He's got Dylan Young behind him, Anthony McCrury, and Zachary Fitzwater. Nope, that outside line continues to still get momentum with Levi McIntyre. Gonzales there in the middle still holding court in that 3 wide battle. And now I think Mathews might have cleared. Yeah, he did. So Mathews now in control of 3rd place. Right now the highest running former Daytona 500 winner. And he's one of 2 former 500 winners that is up here inside this lead pack. The other one being Anthony McCrury, who now dips low. maybe a little too low for Anthony McCrury, as he's almost 4 wide there. His teammate J Cittadino going to let him in. McCrury taking on the role of team owner this season, first time, as he's been mostly running with Seth Cole Baker Motorsports, but after Seth Cole moved over to Tweenix Racing and Cole Baker moved over to Fitzwater Australia Racing, now Anthony McCrury with a 3-car team, himself, Cittadino, and Sean Gallighan in the returning Kyotech Racing. Cody Llamas enjoying the view and also enjoying the fact that he, right now, would put himself in position not only with the bonus point of leading the lap, but also the extra bonus point of leading the most laps. Dougie Shears has been on his back bumper, but they've been really battling hard for 3rd place, that no one's been able to get up there, help Dougie Shears generate any energy to be able to make the move on Cody Llamas. And they will continue to battle for 3rd place there with McIntyre, Gonzales, Mathews, and Young. We are also nearing in on what I would suspect would soon be our first round of green flag pit stops. I think when we run about maybe 2.5 more laps, we will be right in that fuel window. And I would be very surprised if Cody Llamas is not one of the first ones to dive onto pit road. He's been out in front this entire run so far, and has to definitely be one of the drivers that's used up the most fuel, cutting the draft for everybody else. Levi McIntyre, though, going to make a move here for 2nd place on Dougie Shears. We know that McIntyre's got a strong car. He got out in front when we had the green flag drop, and looks like we're going to have traffic up ahead. I would assume that's Shearer and Baker. It is, along with Jessica Shelton. So Cole Baker and Kev Shearer were able to run down Shelton, who was by herself, and now those 3 in big trouble of going a lap down early here in the 500 race. These are cars that are up to speed. They just lost the draft, trying to work together, and now Cody Llamas, where's he going to go? He's going to try the high side, and as he does that, some drivers are coming to pit road. Levi McIntyre peeled off onto pit lane. I think I also saw, who was that? I saw another car, and it was just in my head, and now I've lost it. Here's some more. Benjamin Miles, Kyle Keith, Emmanuel Hartnett, R.J. Reynolds. That's who it was. It was McLeod. Srigley, Trent Dunham in. And there's Levi McIntyre in pit stall number 2. Fitzwater also was in, along with J Arndt. Wow, look at this. Ooh, look out. Oh, I thought Kev Shearer was going to lose it, but he's coming to pit road. Wow, this is going to be a very congested pit road entry here. Ooh, are they going to make it? They are. Dougie Shears, Dylan Young, Cittadino, Gilbert, Batson, Dollerton, McCrury all in, along with, I guess, tail end of the lead lap cars you would call them right now, Kev Shearer and Jessica Shelton. Here comes some more in as well. Watson, Voyles, Poteet, Chris Dodd. McIntosh going to stay out. Lopez is in. Walsh, Smart, Gardner, Osborne, Anderson, Holly Davis, Seth Cole, Sandfer, and pole sitter J Bryant. Levi McIntyre there. And there's Cody Llamas, Kyle Mathews, Brandon Gonzales. They're coming to pit road this time. Now I believe the only other car that has stayed out to this point is the 14 of Dallas McIntosh. Baker's in. Oh no, Scott Roush apparently had stayed out. Now he's coming to pit lane, was scored 10th last time by the rookie. And here comes the 14 of McIntosh. And I believe this is going to cycle around our pit stops here. There's Dougie Shears ahead of Dylan Young. And I think right now he would be the one that the lead would cycle around to, depending on where the 48 of Cody Llamas ends up coming off pit road at. See where Shears crosses the line in, and they have him scored in 6th place. So yeah, I think right here might be the battle with cars up to speed as Dylan Young's up and into the wall. Still in the wall, and he's not getting off of it. Now he gets off of it, but boy, look at all the momentum he lost. He's going to lose spots to McIntyre, McLeod and nearly wrecked K Shearer. And there's Cody Llamas. Here comes D Shears. This right here, I think, is the battle for the lead. As Shears will go by. Look at McIntyre with a big run. He's going to continue that momentum. And he's going to go into the lead, I think. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Actually, K Mathews is going to come out with the race lead. That was actually a battle for third. Mathews with the race lead. Gonzales came out second. And now Mathews having to deal with Sean Gallighan, former Daytona 500 winner, who right now is the last car on the lead lap. So it's Mathews with the lead. McIntyre now second. McLeod just moved to third. Fourth place under contest. Give it to D Shears for the moment. Fifth, Brandon Gonzales. Sixth place right now would be Cody Llamas. Seventh is Keith Batson, although it looks like he might move by for that spot. Eighth is going to be Dylan Young. Ninth is J Cittadino in a battle for 10th here. J Arndt has it. Right now McCrury in 11th. 12th place right now would be Daniel Gilbert. 13th is Zachary Fitzwater. 14th, Chris Dollerton. 15th place is under contest Benny Watson and Joseph Srigley. Then 17th, Trent Dunham. 18th, Daniel Voyles. 19th place is Scott Roush. And 20th would be Benjamin Miles. 21st, Kyle Keith. 22nd, Tim Walsh. 23rd is RJ Reynolds. 24th, Johnny Gardner. 25th, Dylan Poteet. 26th, Dallas McIntosh. 27th, Joshua Osborne. 28th, Cody Smart. 29th place is Jordan Lopez. And Seth Cole right now runs in 30th. Chris Dodd is 31st. 32nd is Emmanuel Hartnett. 33rd is Charles Sandfer. 34th, Jordan Anderson. 35th, Holly Davis. The pole sitter, J Bryant, back in 36th. He'll now go to 34th. 37th place is J Baskinger, and I believe he's the last car on the lead lap. K Shearer just now still on the tail end lead lap, just ahead of the new race leader, James McLeod. Right now being scored in 38th place. 39th right now, Shane Lake, who just went a lap down. 40th place, a lap down is Sean Gallighan. 41st, a lap down is Cole Baker. And I believe Jessica Shelton right now is 42nd, and she is also off the lead lap. So right now, as we're getting close to the halfway point of this race, all 42 cars are still running, and with Shearer running ahead of the race leader, we currently have 39 drivers still on the lead lap. Only 4 lap machines: Lake, Gallighan, Baker, and Shelton. And right now, it's looking like this is going to be one of those races where it's going to come down to the pit stops, because we've gone 22 laps, now 22 and a half laps, completely green flag. And something tells me it's going to be a 2 pit stop race. James McLeod out in front. McLeod looking for his first win since Season 4 when he was a 2-time winner as a rookie, and has not been to victory lane since then. His last win, Season 4, and it was in one of the crown jewel races, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. Levi McIntyre right there with him, though. And not too far behind them, you've got D Shears, then the lap machine of Shane Lake, then Brandon Gonzales in 4th, and Keith Batson trying to reel in these guys. He's currently in 5th. You've also got behind him, from 6th on back, a pretty good pack of race cars that might generate some speed. Lap car of Cole Baker, you got J Arndt, J Cittadino, Anthony McCrury, K Mathews. Lap machine of Sean Gallighan and Dylan Young. So this group very quickly could catch up if they continue to race side by side up further in that lead pack. This group's about 3.5 seconds off. Got some stragglers here like Batson and Gonzales, so they could very easily catch this group if they continue to race side by side, as McIntyre with the lead will now put K Shearer off the lead lap. So Shearer, running in 38th place, will be the first car 1 lap down. And now the battle is going to be basically between himself and Shane Lake, because those two are now a lap down. They'll be battling for 38th place. Lake right now in 39th. Got more traffic up ahead to deal with. A couple more drivers that are off the pace due to not having draft. 37th place, J Baskinger. Certainly not the start to the year he wanted, as he announced beginning of the season that he would not be returning to Flying Aces Racing next year. Baskinger was one of the final 4 competing for the championship last year. He has had the most appearances in the chase for the championship here in the Hersheys Cup Series. 5 out of 6 seasons he has made it into the playoffs. The only season he didn't was back in season 5. K Shearer dogfighting Levi McIntyre to stay on the lead lap here. As remember, if a caution comes out and Kev is ahead of Levi when they cross the line, K Shearer would be back on the tail end of the lead lap. So, not giving up hope as the driver of the 80, as now it's going to be 3 wide. James McLeod's going to use K Shearer as a pick to try and take the lead from Levi McIntyre. Couldn't quite do it there, didn't have enough momentum to get to the left rear quarter panel of the 99. It's been a long time since Levi McIntyre has been to victory lane too. If I recall correctly, I think his last win was back in season 5 at Lime Rock. Right now, it's just him and McLeod up here in this lead group. They've now lost touch with third place D Shears, who's starting to fade back. He was a second and a half behind these guys when they crossed the line last time. There you see him by himself. He's by himself. Batson's by himself. Gonzales is about to get swept up by this second group. I'm also noticing, though, that second group is losing time to these front runners. And we're going to have a more bigger pack up ahead in just a moment for McIntyre and McLeod to have to traverse. They've caught Baskinger, and up ahead you've got Anderson, Hartnett, and Davis. Holly Davis driving the car that won the championship last year with Brooke Allen, getting her first taste of points-paying racing here in the Hersheys Cup Series. And just look at the speed difference as Baskinger, Shearer, McIntyre just blow by Hartnett and Holly Davis. And McLeod got held up a little bit there by Emmanuel Hartnett, and that's going to allow Levi McIntyre to continue to scamper away. McIntyre, Baskinger, and Shearer all working pretty well together. They might have a little bit of a deal worked out here where Shearer and Baskinger, they're helping McIntyre with speed to keep ahead of McLeod, and at the same time, he's not putting them a lap down, allowing them to run ahead of him. Kind of an interesting strategy there, but then when you consider the fact that Levi's got no teammates up here to work with, closest one, Dylan Young back in 9th, almost 7 seconds back. Levi's got to make friends where he can find them, and now he's going to try and go to the inside of K Shearer and put him a lap down. Says, thank you for helping me get by some traffic there. Now, I got to get by you. McLeod not too far back. He's still in the hunt here. He and Shane Lake working together. Actually, now they're side by side with each other. But McLeod hoping that they continue to battle up here side by side between McIntyre and Baskinger. That will allow him to maybe close up the gap if he's still in the draft in the 99. And somewhere within the next 4 to 5 laps, we're going to have that final money stop pit stop. Look how the field is spread out. McIntyre kind of by himself. McLeod somewhat the same. Long ways back before you get to the third place car, and that is Keith Batson right now. He is almost 6 seconds back from the race leader. D Shears by his lonesome there in 4th, and then this group still trying to make up some speed here, but they continue to lose ground. J Arndt, Anthony McCrury, J Cittadino, Brandon Gonzales, and Dylan Young. That is 5th back through 9th, along with the lap machine of Cole Baker. And it looks like 10th place, K Mathews has lost touch with this group, so he may fall back to this group. Same with Benjamin Miles, as you got Reynolds and Walsh, Dollerton, Srigley, lap car of Shelton, along with Voyles, Keith, Roush, Benny Watson, and the lap car of Gallighan. That's 12th place on back in this group. Up front, let's see if McLeod's been able to run down McIntyre. No, he's still in side-by-side battles with Shane Lake. However, I think the gap is closing between himself and the 99. That last time by, it was 8 tenths separating the 99 and the 51. If McLeod will just stay behind Shane Lake, I think the two of them can get up here to the 99 car, which I think would be in McLeod's best interest. Got more cars up ahead these drivers going to have to deal with. That is former Daytona 500 winner Chris Dodd exiting turn 2. And the field just now entering into turn 2, at least the race leader, McIntyre. And McLeod again battling side by side with Shane Lake, and that's just going to continue to hinder the progress of the 51. He lost a 10th last time by, and McIntyre has been running single file here with Baskinger and Shearer. Now he's going to go low, so that's going to now slow him down at least a little bit. But at the same time, McLeod is still side by side with Shane Lake, so neither one of these drivers really doing themselves a favor in terms of either gapping or closing the gap between themselves. As time by, this gap will probably increase. Oh wow, he gained a full second, did McIntyre, because of that. Get around Chris Dodd, and Chris Dodd holding up his teammate Kev Shearer there, allowing J Baskinger to hang on to, what would that be now, the 34th position. He's on the tip. Last car on the lead lap in 34th place is Chris Dodd's now gone a lap down. Manuel Hartnett's now a lap down. Holly Davis as well. So 34 cars still on the lead lap, and the fuel window is now open. So when do these drivers decide to come to pit road for their final pit stop? If I'm the 99 team, I would just take probably fuel only. That car is pretty stellar. I wouldn't make any adjustments on it. Cloud back there now over 3 seconds. And then it's 9 seconds back to Keith Batson. This Daytona 500 has not exactly been that ultra competitive, and I think the 39 at Batson's actually the first car to begin the green flag pit stops. I think he was just on pit road. Gardner's on pit road as well. Dylan Young, John Cittadino. It's a couple of drivers that were inside the top 10. There's Batson, Mathews, Srigley. They were both on pit road. Reynolds, Fitzwater, Daniel Gilbert hitting pit road, and here comes some more. Cody Smart and Dallas McIntosh. So yes, the pit stops are beginning, and here comes the race leader, Levi McIntyre, to the attention of his crew. McLeod in second will follow. See out of this group who's coming to pit road. Looks like Dougie Shears is coming in. John Arndt, Gonzales, Davis. McCrury will stay out, so McCrury will inherit the race lead for the moment. Miles is in. Kyle Keith, Walsh, Dollerton, Voyles. Here comes Benny Watson. Gallighan's coming in. Trent Dunham's going to stay out another lap. Or Trent might have actually already been on pit road. He scored right now in 41st. So I think he might have actually already made a pit stop. Seth Cole, Dylan Poteet, couple of teammates now coming to pit road, 23rd and 24th. Sandfer's in. Here comes Kev Shearer. And where is McCrury? There he is. He'll probably be in this time, I would assume. And yes, he will. Also the lap car of Jordan Anderson on pit road as well. Scott Roush will stay out, though, as Shelton hits pit lane. So Scott Roush, the rookie's going to get a lap led as he stays out an extra lap. I think he stayed out an extra lap on the first round of pit stops, too, if I'm not mistaken. So he was a couple laps better on fuel than everybody else. He will undoubtedly be on pit road the next time, but we'll have to see if staying out an extra lap is going to gain him any track position. I'm not really sure it will, because he's all by himself. There's nobody helping him with drafting here on this lap. If you can stay out with a group of cars, whether they be lead lap cars or lap cars, before you come to pit road, the strategy sometimes works. It all really depends on that last lap that you run in terms of speed, but being by himself, not really sure how much it's going to gain him, but he will hit pit road, and he also became the first rookie to lead a lap this season with that lap led. So as he hits pit road, got to see who the lead's going to cycle around to, and I would assume it's probably going to be this car, the 99 of Levi McIntyre, who now is going to go around Chris Dodd and put him a lap down again. Looks like McLeod would cycle into second. He's all by himself right now. Third place still would be Keith Batson. Fourth place would now be John Cittadino, and right now fifth place looks like would be Anthony McCrury, as Shane Lake is now on pit lane. Scott Roush has already been bypassed by Levi McIntyre. That will inherit the 99, the lead. McLeod's about to fall into the clutches of Keith Batson. That'll actually be the battle for second place. The question is, would these two be able to work together enough to run down the 99? All these drivers These three that I mentioned, McIntyre, McLeod, and Batson, riding very long winless streaks. Keith Batson hasn't won since Season 5 at Kansas. McIntyre since Season 5 at Lime Rock, and McLeod since Season 4 at Charlotte. Batson now moves into second place. McIntyre's got someone to draft with right now. The lap car of Chris Dodd. Looks like Chris Dodd's going to go to the inside and try and get back onto the lead lap. Right now, Chris Dodd in the 36th position. And if Batson and McLeod can put aside their differences and work for a common cause, the two of them might be able to run down Levi McIntyre and make it a three-dog fight for the race lead, potentially this race win, because that pit stop they all made, they are now, I say this hesitantly, good to go on fuel. I think they are good to go on fuel. They pitted all around laps 35 to 36. And with about 17 lap fuel window, that would put them roughly around to lap 52 to 53 before they'd have to pit again. And we don't have overtime here. Gap was cut down by about 2/10 from first to second, from about 6 seconds down to 5.8. Batson does have McLeod helping him. And McIntyre right now is having to deal with traffic. Chris Dodd and Shane Lake just ahead. Then you've got this group back here. Benjamin Miles has now fought himself up into the top 5. He's in 4th. Dougie Shears there 5th. Cittadino, Gonzales, that's 6th and 7th. This could be the group right here that might produce a lot of the speed and might have something to say at the end of this. McCrury, Dylan Young are also in this group. That's the 4th back through 8th for the lead lap cars. And they are catching McLeod and Batson. Let's see what the gap is between the 99 and the 25. 8.8 last time. This time, 7.5. Yeah, this is the group right here that might have something to say in the closing stages of this race. They've got some lap cars in their group as well, including Anderson in the 89, Cole Baker in the 18, and Holly Davis in the 3. The gap also between first and second is decreasing, but when they catch up with this lead group, it's going to be even quicker that they'll be able to run down Levi McIntyre. McIntyre having to deal with Shane Lake and Chris Dodd. The 55 and the 8, they're both battling each other for a position. I think that's for 35th, while McIntyre's just trying to keep his gap between himself and these guys back here. And there's still 10 laps to go. Still plenty of time for something to happen. This time, the gap cut down, and wow, it was cut down a lot. Now only 4.7 seconds between McIntyre and Keith Batson. Batson finished runner-up to a Young Motorsports Ford in the Clash, and Dylan Young, he doesn't want to finish runner-up to a Young Motorsports Ford here in the 500. And now he and McLeod have been picked up by this group. Oh, looks like Gonzales and Young may lose this draft, though. And here comes Benjamin Miles. Big run for the 25. His teammate Cody Llamas dominated the first beginning part of this race. Cody has faded back out of the picture now, but his teammate there, Benjamin Miles, not out of the picture by any stretch of the imagination. 4.7 seconds last time. Let's see what the gap's been cut down to now between McIntyre and the new second place car, Miles. 3.8 continues to chip away, gained 9/10 that time. And there are 9 laps to go. McIntyre still side by side with Shane Lake and Chris Dodd, who are trying to work to stay ahead of Levi McIntyre if by some miracle they get a late race caution. We've gone caution-free the entirety of this race, and this is starting to shape up kind of like the finish of our Pizza Hut X Series race, where traffic is going to come into play. Miles, Batson, Shears, Cittadino, McLeod, McCrury, they're the ones up here in this group that might have a shot at this. Tim Walsh all of a sudden has cracked the top 10. Tim Walsh now up, I think, to the 9th position. Make that 8th place. Dylan Young faded back quite a bit there. He's still fading. Kyle Mathews now up in the top 10 as well. He's got Joseph Srigley with him, J Arndt. Could those guys catch this group? I don't know. Got basically 2 groups here. This group trying to run down Levi McIntyre, the second group trying to run down the first group. As Miles and Batson work together, they are less than 2 seconds behind Levi McIntyre, and they can see him now. McIntyre just got around J Baskinger, so he's got 3 cars, 2 off the lead lap, 1 on the tail end lead lap. Got 2 cars to kind of barrier himself from this contingency behind him, but here they come. Batson, Miles, Shears now have to cut through traffic to get to the 99. They're going to get by Baskinger very easily. Now they're going to try and get by the 8 of Chris Dodd. Ooh, look out. Look at the run the 25 got and the 07. And now it's going to start to get interesting. McIntyre going to do a lot of blocking here. But can he block them all? Miles goes even lower as they're going to go 3 wide. Shane Lake up into the wall. Look at Tim Walsh up in this lead group now. Don't count out the 15. And as soon as I say that, he and Cittadino lost the momentum because Shane Lake was in the wall. But look at this up front. New leader, Benjamin Miles in the 25 as we've got 6 laps to go. And that second group is closing as they are 3 wide in this group. That second group's closing in. So Walsh, Cittadino, Mathews, J Arndt, they all still have a chance. The field was so spread out before we had that second round of pit stops. And now we could have as many as 15, maybe 20 cars up in this lead group with a chance of winning the Daytona 500. Miles continues to lead. Batson in second. Shears wants the spot. He goes low on the 39. Looking towards the tail end of the pack there. Tim Walsh is caught back up to this group. Cittadino and Scott Roush trying to do the same. As we've got 5 laps to go here at Daytona. Benjamin Miles out in front. Kind of almost looking shades of his teammate Cody Llamas, where in the beginning stages, Llamas didn't even let anybody do his back bumper. Can Miles do the same? Dougie Shears got a big run there. A big push from the lap car of Jordan Anderson. And you see that second group back there. Kyle Mathews, J Arndt, Scott Roush. And I think that's John Cittadino trying to get up here with this lead group. Here comes Shears to the inside for the race lead. Michael Norman Motorsports entry. Pizza Hut X Series driver last year trying to get the Daytona 500 win this season. Keith Batson's down there with him. 4 laps to go at Daytona and still plenty of time for anything to happen. Levi McIntyre dominated between the first and second round of pit stops. He's now all the way back riding in 7th. Car up in the wall. Jordan Anderson, the 89. He's going to get it off the wall, but he comes down in front of McLeod. McLeod's going to lose some momentum now as a result of that. Look at Anthony McCrury in the 61 now up here in this lead pack, trying to get his second career Daytona 500 victory. He's now up to the 6th position. Make it 5th place. And Tim Walsh up here in the closing stages as well in the 15 car. He's now right now in the 4th position, trying to push Benjamin Miles on the high side. Kyle Mathews, J Arndt, Scott Roush, they've caught the lead pack. 3 laps to go. And we've got traffic up ahead to deal with. That's Zachary Fitzwater in the 59, and I think he may not be the only one. I think there's another car not too far ahead of him. And none of the cars up here in this lead group are of any alliance to the 59, so who is he going to help? Look at Shears trying to go high. He gets blocked. Here comes Batson down low. Fitzwater blocks the 07. Batson to the race lead. Walsh goes to second. Keith Batson trying to win the big one here. It would be only his second career win. Tim Walsh looks to the high side. Scraping the wall a little bit there. Tucks down in front of the lap car of Cole Baker. 2 laps to go. Here's Walsh with the crossover to the inside into turn 1. Walsh wants the race lead in the Daytona 500. He's going to take it going into the first corner. J Arndt all of a sudden now up into the 3rd position. Here comes Kyle Mathews as well. Scott Roush, the rookie in the 60. 1.5 laps remain as they hit the back straightaway, and Walsh begins to gap the field a little bit. That's not necessarily a good thing. 3 wide behind him. Arndt, Baker, Anderson. Only one of those cars is on the lead lap as they're going to come around and see the white flag. 1 more lap to go. Tim Walsh, about 2-3 car lengths in hand between himself and Keith Batson. We'll have to see if having this gap is going to hurt him as they hit the back straightaway. Traffic ahead, but I don't know if they're going to catch him or not. Walch with the lead. Batson in second. Can Batson get a run on him down here through turn 2 onto the back straightaway? He's closing, and he's closing quickly. Down the back straightaway, Batson trying to reel in Tim Walch in the 15. Still about maybe 2.5 car length separation. Batson trying to close the gap as quickly as he can. Can he get a big enough run through 3 and 4? He's trying, he's visibly closing, but he might not have enough time. I don't think he does. Tim Walch is going to join the names of the Immortals. He's going to win the Season 7 Hersheys Cup Series Daytona 500. Tim Walch, who last year had a career year, it was his first time, I believe it was his first time, making it into the playoffs. It was either his first or his second. And he was a multi-time winner last year, which was a first, but I think maybe he might be putting together another career year here. Starts off the season with a trip to victory lane in the Daytona 500. So now it's Ryan Acosta, K Mathews, Sean Gallighan, Anthony McCrury, Chris Dodd, Dallas McIntosh, and Tim Walch, who are Daytona 500 winners. And I'm pretty certain now CJ Racing joins Seth Colbaker Motorsports as a 2-time Daytona 500 winning team here in the Hersheys Cup Series. But how about Tim Walch? I mean, we didn't really talk about him until about, 15 laps to go? What an amazing Houdini move to pop up when it mattered most, and then when he got out in front, nobody could get to him. Won that race by almost 3/10 over Keith Batson. And Tim Walch could very well have just locked himself up a spot in back-to-back seasons of getting into the playoffs for the Hersheys Cup Series Championship. I mean, probably his biggest career win before this was when he won that elimination race at Indianapolis to make it into the round of 12. But I think this one definitely topped them all, as he's the Daytona 500 winner here in Season 7. Keith Batson, a bridesmaid once again. He's been a bridesmaid twice this week at Daytona, finishing runner-up in the Clash to Dylan Young, and now runner-up here today in the 500 to Tim Walch. Great showing for D Shears, though, in third place. J Arndt popped up there into the top 5 in the closing stages from out of nowhere. He gets 4th. K Mathews brings it home 5th. Anthony McCrury in 6th. Great run for those former 500 winners. Rookie of the race, Scott Roush. Top 10 finish to start off his season in 7th place. Great run there for James McLeod as well. Benjamin Miles was leading in the closing stages, but when Tim Walch got around, there was just nothing he could do. He faded back to finish 9th. And Levi McIntyre, who dominated from the first round of pit stops to the second round of pit stops, he's going to have to settle for 10th place. Look on down through the remainder of the finishing results there. Joseph Srigley brings it home in 11th. R.J. Reynolds, great run for him in 12th. Cittadino fell back to 13th. Dylan Young to 14th. Brandon Gonzales 15th. Trent Dunham and Dallas McIntosh, the two Dodges, 16th and 17th. Trent actually finished a Daytona 500 race. Didn't finish in the top 10, but he finished pretty well. Definitely not a DNF, which he had last year. Cody Llamas, he dominated early portion of this race. He's going to have to settle for 18th place. 19th was Chris Dollerton, and Benny Watson brings it home in the 20th position. You look on down through the remainder of the finishing results here. 21st was Kyle Keith, 22nd place Daniel Voyles. Rookies Joshua Osborne, Jordan Lopez, 23rd, 24th. Seth Cole was 25th. J Bryant led the field to green, being the pole sitter. We never really saw him after that. He finishes 26th. Cody Smart, 27th. 28th place was D Poteet, J Gardner 29th. He had some damage on the right side of his car when he came to pit road in that second round of pit stops. Not sure where that came from. Charles Sandfer will finish in 30th. K Shearer 31st, and Daniel Gilbert was the last car to finish on the lead lap in 32nd place. And then everybody else finished one lap down, but all 42 cars did manage to finish the race. 33rd, Jordan Anderson. Then it was Chris Dodd, Cole Baker, Zachary Fitzwater, Jessica Shelton, Jake Baskinger, Shane Lake, Emmanuel Hartnett, Holly Davis, and Sean Gallighan. So for those guys that finished a lap down, and maybe some of those other guys that finished on the tail end lead lap, not the finish they were looking for here at Daytona, but still plenty of season to be able to combat those poor performances and work their way up in the point standings, maybe get a victory and put themselves into the playoffs. But one driver that we know that probably will be in the playoffs is our winner here today. Tim Walch becomes the 7th different Daytona 500 winner, and it's the first Daytona 500 win of his Hersheys Cup Series career. Congratulations to him and the 15 team. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race here from Daytona. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We have shown you full feature results. These are your rookie points and your overall standings heading into next week. Next week, we've got the Last of Us Light Series. They'll have their very first race of the season, of their second season, as they will be here at Daytona. And then we've got Race 2 for Pizza X Series and Hersheys Cup Series action, as we will be at the newly reconfigured desert track of Phoenix. You won't want to miss out on that. That's going to be a really fun race. But till then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching Production NNSCRA offline racing at its best. The Daytona 500 is in the books here, and the Daytona 500 winner is Tim Walch. We'll see you guys next time as you've been watching Production NNSCRA. I didn't finish that last time. Offline racing at its best. See you guys next week.